Right, so thanks very much, Matt. That was an interesting presentation. It was excellent to see your comedy side come out. Matt said to me before this presentation that this is actually only the second time he's actually done any public speaking, and the first time was at his wedding. He's pretty new to the whole public speaking, so it was good to see Matt get up and have a chance to do some speaking for us. I normally have to do everything with all the public speaking, so it's good to have some more team members helping out. So with the major 14.5 release, this is probably the most exciting time of my presentations, is actually looking at what we've got and what we're delivering in the next few weeks. We do plan to bring out the 14.5 release in the I guess at the end of October, and that will have a beta period, so we will have a period where you get to test that out, make sure it's all running, give us feedback about that release, so that will still all happen as per usual. So expect us to be, in the next few weeks, giving you a notice about the rollout strategy and plan for that coming over the next few weeks. So it is here, and I have got it here today to demo, so I'm just going to run through a few things that I think are important. There are some missing features that I'll talk about as well, but I want to show you, so it's the most important thing, what we've been working on for the last 6 months. And as Sean mentioned, we have been working very hard. We've increased our development efforts, and there's been a lot more work going into this release than ever before. So there's a lot of new features and functions that are quite exciting to see in this system. So where should we start? So firstly, first of all, I'm going to explain is this new idea that we've got about file uploads. Now, as I guess the market has opened up into how files are stored, no longer are we storing files on your hard drives, we're storing them in the cloud, in the networks, in your various different systems, and they may not necessarily be files, they might be videos, they might be audio capture. There's a whole range of different sources of material that you might want to put into the system. So in that thread, we decided to throw away the old file upload box that was littered throughout Schoolbox and replace it with a new file modal object that we've created that will enable us to source your material from a range of different sources. Now, just quickly, going into the news system, and when I click add news, previously you would have known that when you add news, there was a browse button to attach a photo to this news item. We now have the ability to drag and drop a photo directly onto that space there. So if you have that photo, I can just drop it on there. But more importantly, you can click on it still, and now it brings up this modal window. Now this modal window allows you obviously to drop again into it, because you can never get enough drag and drop, I know. So you can also obviously click here, and it will act as it previously did as a browser for your computer. But we can also now browse other sources. So we can browse existing files that have already been uploaded. We're going to add into this, at the moment it's not in the demo, but we'll be adding in the ability to browse your drive. So any drives that you've mounted in Schoolbox via WebDAV, you'll be able to access them there. So your home directory, your network drives, you'll be able to post directly from them through this modal as well. So that avoids the issue where if the computer wasn't connected to the network, they couldn't access their home drive, they'd have to download it first onto their computer, then upload it again. This bypasses that whole process. The other thing you'll notice here is the Google Drive. So that's probably the most exciting part of this system. I'm not sure if this is actually even going to work for my demo, but we'll give it a try. So here it's connecting to my Google Drive. It goes off and finds out who I am and does a single sign-on directly into the Google architecture, allowing you to browse all your files and open those files from your Google Drive directly and upload them into the system. Now this has lots of implications for schools that are using GAF already. You'll be able to submit directly from GAF into Schoolbox. So if you have a student creates a file object, they'll be actually able to create that file and in their Google Drive and then upload that directly. Okay. We do also intend to add Microsoft support in there as well for those who are using Office 365. That's not going to come in this 14.5 release, unfortunately. There's been an issue at Microsoft. They don't have a API available at the moment specifically for this process. They do have one in beta, but it's not available as a production release yet. So we expect to see that probably in the next release following. So there's a bit of delay on that. I'm sorry to those that are using Office 365, but the Google one will be in there from from the release of 14.5. So unfortunately, I can authorize now. There's Mary Lou hanging out in the gallery. So yeah, this is just an example there. Obviously it's connected. You saw it first had to authorize, so it obviously does a trust-based relationship. So you first authorize the application to connect to Google, and then it just allows you through. And once you've done that authorization process once, it works forever on, so you can connect into your Google Drive at any point. Obviously it's got all the power of Google here, so you can search and use all the tagging and things like that as well, and you can view it in all the different views, list view and icon view as well. So this is a full embedded Google tile component. Okay, so that's the first feature. So that feature there will be littered throughout Schoolbox. We're going to replace all of the upload buttons. So student submissions are obviously going to be the first one, but all of the uploads will be replaced with that as well. The other thing I should note, alongside this, you can obviously see drag and drop there. It wouldn't be fair if we just left the drag and drop to just there. So we've added drag and drop into a few other places as well. So I'll just demonstrate how the new drag and drop functions work. So going into the an area within the system, and I'll have to bring up my Finder on the desktop. Okay, so just bear with me, because in Mac world we don't like multiple windows, but I'll just find a way to show you multiple windows. This is one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of drag and drop, but we now have our files folder here, and of course we can browse to a location. We can find some files. They could be images, they could be whatever I want. So we'll just find some samples. I can do multiples, of course, and I simply drag those into this area. You'll notice when I drag over that area, it turns green, and I let go, and it just starts uploading those files. So obviously it's pretty quick now to upload a whole document, a whole folder worth of files, so you don't have to go and click through any multi-file uploader. In fact, the multi-file uploader will probably be deprecated now that this replaces it. The other area that this also works is it's not just obviously in the resource browser, but on the home pages as well. So I can add some new components, and I should also point out while I'm here, there is a new component browser tool. So you'll see that we've now got pretty icons. So thanks to Matt for delivering some new graphic design into the system. We can add in new components, so I can add in an image gallery. And those images are already there, but I can obviously now drag and drop more images into that. And it's just a matter of dropping them on, and they load into that image gallery. Okay? Thanks, David. So obviously, yeah, great feature, that one. So you can just quickly build those image galleries, drag and drop, and it works with all the components. So I obviously demonstrated image gallery here, but for video component, audio component, all those components that take resources, you can just drop resources onto them. The added benefit with the video component, it's going to then transcode that video, of course, and do all of that process and embed it and turn it into a streaming video. So drag and drop, re-encodes it for you, and then plays back directly in the browser. So quite a lot of power there through all that functionality now. So I skipped over this new homepage function here, but you'll notice that we've changed the look and feel of this. It's really just a cosmetic improvement. The same functionality is still there. We will obviously add drag and drop function into this as well, so that you can drag your components directly to where you want them to go. You'll notice that we now have this control panel up here. So obviously the plus for checking and adding new components, the little, I guess, the column tool to change your columns and your colours, so you can adjust the colours and the layouts. This is slightly changed as well. You can now set multiple colours at the same time, so you can set all the colours in one go rather than having to fiddle around with the way it used to be. And of course the column slider is still here. The final button along is actually the Actions button. Now this was a pet peeve of mine for a long time. You used to have this folder manage and class manage components, and they used to float around the page, and I could never find where they were. They'd drop off down the bottom under all the content, and no one knew where they were. It was never good. I ended up having to search the page using the find function. It wasn't good usability. So now we've got all of those features brought up into this little drop down here. If it's a class page, it will also automatically show you your class links to your class list, to your class mark sheet. So all those features will auto-populate in there, so you can always find them. They're always in the one place, and they're always available. They're also available to students as well, so people with edit access will see those features there, so if they can subscribe to the group, add the group to their links, those types of activities will all be available through there. So no longer will you be searching for your class list, it will always be up there for you. Okay, some other things to show. We've got a new feature called Tiles. Now, this is direct feedback from, obviously a lot of schools wanted to create these icon interfaces, and you can see one here where we have icons here, but typically they required some HTML code to build, and they were a bit tricky, and they were difficult to build, to create yourself, so often we were helping schools out with that. Wanting to empower you to actually build those tools, we've actually now added a new tool called Tiles, down the bottom here, obviously at the bottom of the list. And I can put this wherever I want, so I'm just going to put it here. And this component here allows me to modify its layout. Now, the nice thing about this is it has the ability to be both a grid with a fixed width. So if you've got 100 pixel icons, you can have a grid, or you can use columns. So then it will dynamically adjust to the size of the screen and lay out perfectly for whatever device they're on. So if you're on an iPad screen, it will crunch it all down for you. If you're on a big screen, it will blow out those icons. So this is a really useful tool for quickly creating your icon sets. So I'm just going to put a few in here. And let's see. There we go, one for the calendar. We've obviously got a few rough edges in the demo, so sorry if things don't work out entirely as planned. This is pre-release. Oops, added that one twice. So you can see here I'm quickly building up a tiled interface. I could be adding links to these. I can add text, I can add colours and things like that over them, so you can create very interesting, I guess, information on this. Make that white.
Very quick question, James. Will
Yep.
it only be on the dashboard, or will it be planned for the class pages as well?
It's for both already. So it's already available on both home pages and dashboards. So from day one, it'll be available on both. So you can see there, you can add text, you can add links, you can relay out this tile system any way you like. And then when you're finished, you just click Save. And going back to that dashboard, I'll now quickly see my links in there. And as I promised, it will automatically scale up and adjust to that screen size. So it'll adjust to whatever screen size the user's got. Now you're getting picky. Okay, so next feature, obviously that component there, Tiles, is also available on your pages. So under here you'll find there's a new component here called Tiles. So just those, is that 6 squares, 9 squares. We'll show you the Tiles component, and it's exactly the same tool, but on the classroom pages. So you can use this tool to build classroom pages, create rich navigation elements, much better than the breadcrumb tool. So you can create all your tiles and icons and lay them out however you want. Sorry? Yes, currently, I'll talk a bit more about the mobile view a bit later, because we've got some strategic changes around the mobile view specifically. Currently, these tools aren't specifically available in the mobile view, mainly because the mobile view is constrained to a small screen. But we'll talk a bit more about some strategy about mobiles in the last session today. So I'll address a bit more about that a bit later. Another new component available is Pinterest. So for all those teachers that love to use Pinterest, and we know that a lot of teachers do use Pinterest, we get a lot of community feedback about this tool. So we added in the ability now to subscribe and put Pinterest boards directly into your page. So it's just a matter of adding that component and putting the URL for the Pinterest board in, and it will populate that out. It also has some ability to be responsive as well, so it will adjust to whatever column you put it in and how big the screen is. Okay. All right, one thing we've added in now is previously you would have been familiar with the audio tool in the system. The old audio tool here had the ability to play MP3 files, but MP3 files only, and it also didn't work on iPads. So it had some severe limitations in its function. So we wanted to rebuild this system. So as of 14.5, it will automatically transcode any audio you upload into the system. So if you have WMA files or whatever they are, WAV files, any type of audio that you pull off a system and put them into here, we'll automatically transcode them for you, turn them into MP3s, and then allow them to be played back using HTML5, so it'll work on all devices. So the audio player's got a big upgrade so that it can work across any device in the future. So that should tide over all those language teachers who love to upload their audio samples. The other thing about that infrastructure is that we haven't got this feature to demo today, but that infrastructure will also power the audio return function and also the ability for students to submit audio files as well, and for teachers to preview those audio files directly in the system. So yeah, all of that will be in 14.5. So we've rebuilt the audio system so that we can support audio returns from teachers. So when you're marking work, you're going to be able to press a record button, record an audio sample, and that will be returned to the student. And a student will also be able to upload an audio resource, and that will, in the inline grader, will automatically have a player included. So you'll be able to play back that audio directly in the inline grader and don't have to download the audio file to play it. Yep, that'll all be drag and drop. The inbuilt recording for for teacher returns, the inline recording will just be on the page. There'll just be a record button that you'll press. It'll record your voice, and you press stop at the end, and that will then submit that to the student as a return. So rather than having to upload a file, if you're using iPads, you can actually achieve that already using iPads. So if you press the return file upload button now on an iPad or an iDevice, it will actually ask you if you want to use the camera roll, and you can actually return that to the student now. And the future will also mean that gets embedded for the student to play back in their browser in 14.5. Yeah, the student playback side will be in 14.5 as well. Okay. A few things also, I got a question up the back before about dashboard components, and there's often a lot of questions about why isn't there as many components on the dashboard as there is on my home pages. Can you bring across this component A, component B? Obviously it does take a bit of effort to bring across some of these components, but we have made a concerted effort this release to add a few more tools into the quiver of the dashboards. So down the bottom, you'll notice that you now have this new tool, Image Slider, which you would have already seen featured on our dashboard, that has the big slides going across. We have the image gallery, so you can now put image galleries up if you want to put a photo gallery in. You can now put Twitter, so if you've got your school Twitter feed, you can put that into your dashboards, and also the video and tiles component. If you want to embed video directly into the page, you can now embed a school production video or short or something like that, or a school performance. They can all be embedded using the video player directly into your dashboards as well. Okay. So a few more tools there to pad out the functionality for you. Some of these will. Some of them will come across, some of them won't. We haven't opened up video to students on their e-portfolios yet, just because we're concerned a bit about space at the moment, but we probably will eventually open that up as well. But yeah, expect to see a few more components on the e-portfolios at the same time. Going into a few more features now. We've got a new admin feature for your users to manage your users. So up here you now have a bulk modifier. One of the support queries we get a lot is, can I make this change to all my Year 7s? Can I change this feature? Can I turn e-portfolios on? Can I do this to these users? Can I move them this way? Can I update their way they receive email? So all of those actions are now contained within the bulk modifier. So if you want to quickly change an action about a set of users, you can first create a search, and that could be on a group. So I'm going to search on my senior students. And then it gives you a list which you're able to bulk change all of those users and bulk change an attribute of those users. So that could be any one of these attributes below. So we have change their campus, change their groups, change their year level, change their portfolio status, turn e-portfolios on and off. All of those things that we often get support-related queries for can now be done directly by you in this interface through here. So some of these things may be controlled by the sync script, so just be aware of that in schools where some of these things are managed by the sync. You may find that you make a change and it gets overridden overnight by the synchronization process, but other schools, quite a few of these variables aren't actually managed by the sync script. They're set up once and that's it, and then you can modify them to whatever you want from that point forward. But if you have any troubles, feel free to contact us about changing attributes on users. Okay, one of the other things I should mention is there's a new question type. We always love to add a new question type every release. This new question type is the signature option. Now, this allows you to capture signatures in surveys. Now, I can think of probably a few areas where you need to capture signatures. You might be using for permission slips, excursion forms, maybe medical details, those types of things. We now have a question type that allows you to actually record the student's or the parent's signature directly into that form as well. Now that works as a little thing that you can draw into, as a little drawing tool. If you're on an iPad, you can obviously use your finger. It's pretty ad hoc, but it does suffice as a signature tool. So give that a whirl. If you're looking to play around with some new forms, you can maybe try out that feature and put it into your forms as well. What else we got? All right, so that's about the extent of my new features to demo. I'll have a now look at some of the improvements we've made throughout the system. So obviously we like to add a few new features, make a few improvements to the system, so it's a bit of a balancing act with what we do. These things are, I guess, improvements. Firstly, the homepage customization, which I've already shown, but the calendar itself has actually got a lot of attention in this update. Now, one of the things that we're always being asked about is a print view. In fact, I think it was the second highest rated thing that we got in the last Meetup. So that's now delivered in this update. Firstly, we've got a list view. No, we don't. It's broken. Excellent. So the list view allows you to actually view the calendar in a list, so you can print it out. And the other thing about the list view is it actually gives you the ability to set date ranges. So you can print out a term, you can print out a year if you really want to waste some serious paper. So it gives you the option to decide how much time you can actually print out. So that's a really nice feature for printing. We're also going to do some improvements to the full calendar as well, so that you can print those as well. There is going to always be problems about it fitting on pages and things like that. So I guess buyer beware with printing out the full calendar, but the list view should always print reliably because it just prints them out with the day at the top and then the events and then another day and then the events. So it should always print nicely onto your paper. Some other features that we've added into this release. Firstly, we now have a new sources filter. This allows you to, and it's a bit ad hoc at the moment, but this allows you to control what sources of data is coming into the calendar. Now, obviously you can control the Schoolbox events and turn them off, but we've also got the submission system, so you can turn on and off due work. This would allow you to, for example, just see your due work calendar here. So you can actually now see just your due dates. You can obviously turn on that. You can turn on your resource booking calendar. So for the resource booking system, you'll be able to turn on those. And an exciting new feature, which isn't turned on at the moment, which I will turn on now, is the ability to enable through subscribe, ability to enable timetable and timetable days, okay? So what this is going to do is bring in your timetable and your timetable days directly onto your calendar. So you'll be able to see all that data inline into the calendar view. Richard's been asking for this for how long? And this now, if I go back to my calendar view, actually I need to look at it as a teacher. So now logged in as the teacher, I can see my full calendar laid out on that timetable. So obviously when you're planning events, this is very useful to have an overlay of where you're scheduled in the timetable against what calendar events are currently on. So this will integrate with any timetable system. And you can see it's very similar to the existing timetable view that you would see over here on this tab. It's exactly the same, but it's been laid out on the calendar. Now, the other thing this allows us to deal with is things like multiple sequenced events. So if you've got really complex timetables where you have teachers doing 2 classes at once, I don't know how they happen, but they can happen. This will now allow you to display both those classes at once, whereas the previous timetable, you couldn't see the alternative classes that they were showing. So now you can see it all in one place, and all of the events, no matter how many you've got on, overlaid on top of each other. You'll also see the day numbers coming through as well. I haven't got them turned. Oh, yeah, they are. Senior day 2, senior day 3. So all of those will come through as well. And of course, you can turn it on and off. So if you don't want to see it, it's crowding out your calendar, you can obviously turn that off. So on the month view, it's going to get pretty crowded with your whole timetable in there. So you might want to turn that on and off. All right, so obviously a lot of updates to the calendar. Those new views, the list view, the new source filters, so lots of new features and functions in that. Obviously building on that idea of making this the one true source of all of your activities within the school. Your resource booking feeding into here, your timetable feeding into here. It really is that holy grail of, I guess, that calendar management system. So it's all starting to become quite powerful in here. Yep, so the question will this be available via the VCal feed? So if you've subscribed to these calendars in your Outlook or your other programs, will this data be available? And the answer is yes. All the data that comes into our calendar will also be exported via that VCal feed as well. So it will go out as well, so you'll be able to subscribe to your timetable in VCal. That is something that is coming, I believe. I'm not sure. I'm just looking at Emery because he's the one working on the feature. I'm not sure if it's been implemented or not, but it was something that was raised the other day that some schools have got overridden their day numbers with certain special names, and that's a feature of Synergetic to do that. So we may be able to implement that as well. We'll have a look into that. At the moment, it's just using the same day numbers that we use on our standard dashboard. 5 minutes. I've got so much more to show. All right. One of the other things, and this was a feature request from King's with the calendar, we had to do a pretty serious rebuild for this. The event system now allows you to post an event to multiple groups. So when you post an event and you post it to a group, it used to be a select box where you were able to select from your list of groups. So if I go into edit this event and post to a group, of course that's not working either. If I had groups, when I post to a group, it would provide me with a list of groups, and I can now tick on the groups that I want that to go to. Now this is important, I think in the context of King's where they're using this is when they have parent year level groups and they want an event to go to multiple year levels. So you might be posting that event to year 7 and 8, and rather than posting it twice to both groups, you can actually post it once and post it directly to both of them immediately. So it's a bit of a time saver there to get those events to all those groups in once. Okay. One of the other things about group calendars as well is that you can now bulk load group calendars. So this is an old feature request that we've had for quite a while, and the ability to upload calendars, you would know you can upload a calendar and populate it from a data source in your school calendar, but you could never do it for your individual group calendars. So this is once again important. If you're managing your calendars using groups, you can bulk load them at the start of the year. You might bulk load all the year 8 calendar events into their year 8 parent group, and it would all be populated using that bulk load as well. I'm not going to go through the bulk load, but needless to say that's a new feature that's in there that you can use. Obviously, the message system I mentioned earlier, we're going to continue to expand on that. That's going to get probably another round of updates and fixes, and more messages are going to be added into it. So expect to see even more messages in this release as we add more features and functions to the message system. So just I've got only a short time, just to quickly go over things that I can't demo today, but are still on the agenda. So I don't want people to think that these aren't still coming. These are things that we are working on behind the scenes, but we don't have ready for demoing today. You can already see that it's pretty hard to get all these features working before we go live. So these are the things that are still in production. We have curriculum mapping. So with the curriculum mapping, what that is doing at the moment is we're importing the Australian national curriculum, we're importing the Auswell's curriculum, and we're importing the New South Wales Board of Studies curriculum into our system. So we'll have our own curriculum database per se. What that's going to enable us to do is then map your assessments and your due work, your tasks, your quizzes to your curriculum. Now, this is a stepping stone in a much bigger strategy pathway for us, but it is a stepping stone that we need to take. The bigger stepping stone is towards continuous reporting. So in order to get you accurate and valid continuous reports, we first need to get good mapping from curriculum to activities that students are actually doing. So we need to be able to say, these students did these activities to achieve this outcome in the curriculum. So the first step for us is loading in all that curriculum, and as of 14.5, that curriculum will be available. You'll be able to create your own curriculum as well if you have your own modifications to that curriculum, and you'll be able to do some basic mapping to some of the major assessment items for students, so you can start building up those data relationships. Now, I need to stress that I would go about that task within your course builder infrastructure, and it's really important that that gets done within the course builder, so you're not repeating this mapping process all the time. And the course builder is also a stepping stone towards continuous reporting, because in order to do good continuous reporting, we do need to be doing it at a cohort level, and we need that data to be at a cohort standardised way. So the curriculum mapping and the course builder ensure that we're getting the same level of delivery of assessments and the same tasks being assigned to students across the entire curriculum, which is what will then set the stage for that continuous report. The other thing that I haven't demoed but is in the release today is audio returns. I mentioned that earlier. You will be able to return audio to students. Another thing that I've been working on is the LTI component. So many of you probably don't know what LTI is, but we see that as one of our future stepping stones for integration in terms of integrating third-party applications. What it enables is you to pass off your students to a third party to do a form of assessment, and then for those results to be passed back to us and put into our system. So that will then form a record for the student that they completed that activity. Now, those LTI components can be all sorts of things, from Khan Academy through to it could be watching a YouTube video, all sorts of different activities, and there's a lot of game makers coming out these days, and there are all these cloud services, and LTI allows us to plug them in and for Schoolbox to act as a platform and a launching pad into those cloud services. So LTI is the tool that we're going to use to enable those services to exist and cohabitate with Schoolbox. So that's a very important future stepping stone for our integrations with third parties. The other thing that we're working on and we've been investigating heavily, and was the #1 voted feature for the last meetup, is the Synergetic Macbook integration. So that's something that we're very keen to release on 14.5. It's something that we've worked with Synergetic on, we've got lots of documentation on, and we're working towards getting that out as well. So that may not come in the first beta release, it's a bit behind, but it's something that we committed to releasing as well. So expect to have some form of basic Macbook synchronization with Synergetic in that 14.5 release. It may not be the full suite of synchronization, it may just be major assessment items and raw mark data, but it will be there to get you started with your reporting. That's about all for 14.5. If anyone's got any questions, do I have time for questions, Sean? No? Sorry? No time. Once again, you'll have to grab me in the corridors and I'll answer any questions. I am coming back after lunch to do a bit more of a talk on the future. So I'll be talking about long-term strategy, and I'll touch on some of these things that we're obviously on a journey for, and we'll talk a bit more about those after lunch. But Sean, do you want to wrap up the proceedings?
Thank you so much. And just on that note, when it comes to questions, as we just spoke about earlier, that community online, the Help Centre, please post the questions there. That means that we're going to be able to share in those answers, and everyone's going to be able to participate as well. So just to wrap up, that's a lot of information. Obviously, I think we're all probably pretty hungry and ready for a break. Some really amazing feedback from James and on what's been completed. Obviously, we've gone over what was done in version 13.5, some of the major features, some of the hidden work that was done in 13.5, some of the major features that and not so well-known features in version 14 with notifications, collaborative documents, resource booking, and all of that being integrated with the calendar, that type of thing. Matt's talked about the new online help centre, so please participate and get involved in that. And some really amazing features that are that we're really excited about releasing over the next month or so with version 14.5. Obviously, all the drag and drop you can handle, the audio playback and audio feedback for students, the new tile component that I just know is going to be used so much across all of our schools. You've been building those tile components yourself and learning HTML in the process, and then you can throw all that knowledge out the door. More dashboard components. The new James didn't actually show you, but he's actually they've also revisited the resource tree and made some improvements with that for smaller resolutions. The new bulk modify of users, I think I've been screaming for that for ages. All the calendar mods, the LTI integration, and so much more. So look, there's just a lot coming your way. Obviously, everything we do, we release in stages, so please submit feedback, try this stuff out, tell us how it's going, and help us continue to improve it all. Matthew, I think that you had a competition that you were...
Yep. Winner of the comp. The T-shirt comp.
It was about the most relevant answer, I think, or the most helpful. No, it was the most helpful.
No, first in, best dressed. What do we have here?
What was the first? What are you doing?
Tim.
Oh no, it was. It's not, because that's the most recent. I'm sorry. Tim, fail. It's the highest voted. Maybe we do it on votes.
Congratulations, Tim.